coming, the drums rum-tumming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over, over there, over there, over there. Send the word over.
Hey everybody, this is Joshua Littrell. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Veterans for Cannabis podcast today. Today, I am so excited to be your esteemed guest and host all at the same time. So we're going to continue doing what we've done in the past. Over the last few months, we've given you all a legislative update. Now, what does that mean? We're trying to inform you all of what's happening at the local, state, and the federal level, trying to bring you up to speed on is there anything that you can get involved with to help progress this cannabis movement? How do we keep this movement and move it forward and make it mainstream? Well, I will tell you all, we cannot do it without you. You, the listeners. I know you're all around the world. You're in every state. You're in so many different municipalities and counties around the United States and then all over the world, right? But it still takes you. You have to get involved. You have to make the calls. You have to send the emails. You've got to get your carrier pigeons, strap a message on their legs, and send them off to the nether worlds. But you got to get that message out there. That's what this is all about. So above all, this is a call to action for you, the listeners of the Veterans for Cannabis podcast, and those who are, in the know, but also want to know. And those who want to make a change and make a difference in this world and make sure that cannabis is not frowned upon. We need you to make these changes. So as you all know, last month we mentioned about Representative Tulsi Gabbard out of Hawaii, who had introduced a great piece of legislation that was in the House. And that piece of legislation is there to make sure that the military cannot ban CBD products from active duty militaries being able to use them. It passed the House. That means it's gotten out of the House. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. We had a lot of support there, and it's over to the Senate now. But there's a gentleman, I will say that, a gentleman, man, it's hard to call him a gentleman. But as you all know, the reigning Senate leader, Mitch McConnell, is the one who controls basically what bills come up for a committee and for a hearing to be heard on, so where they can be voted on and become law, or they're voted no and they go back into the hopper, or they just disappear, right? So Mitch McConnell is the leader of the Senate, and we need you all to reach out to Mitch McConnell and say, hey, Senator McConnell, please hear, first and foremost, Representative Tulsi Gabbard's bill to make sure that CBD can be utilized by active duty military. And then secondly, we need you to get the CARES Act called up to committee and make sure that banking legislation is available and cannabis industry can utilize normal banking systems and get lines of credit and, hey, process credit card payments. That would be great too. I should digress a little bit and try to say, please don't try to sound like such a smartass like I am today on this podcast. Try to be nice. Try to be courteous when you're approaching your senators and your representatives. Always treat people with kindness. And I know I'm saying a lot of this while being in jest with the other parts of my conversation, but know that if I was speaking to Mitch McConnell, I would absolutely speak to him with respect, because I have learned through my years of advocacy work and reaching out that you cannot get anything done if you're being belligerent about it, or if you're being an ass about it, or if you're being combative with whatever you're trying to make happen, right? So that's a big part of it. Just try to, first and foremost. So that's me getting off my soapbox for now. Now, what leads us to today's podcast and what we're going to continue to do in the months following is bring you all up to speed on some things that are going on at the federal level. And then if there's anything pertinent in the states too, we'll bring that up. But the reason we bring these issues up is because we need your help. We need your support. We need you to send the emails, to call the congressmen and women. And we need you to get those carrier pigeons fed really well so they can fly all the way up to D.C. and get those messages heard. So there's a really, really neat bill that's been introduced, which it's a bill that's going to allow CBD to be sold and other hemp compounds to be sold as dietary supplements. So you all may be thinking, well, Joshua, you were just talking about Representative Tulsi Gabbard's amendment that's going to make CBD legal for military members, right? How does this differ? Well, it's a big difference here because this proposal is actually sponsored by a Democrat and a Republican. So when you have bipartisan support for something, that's really, really strong. Representative Kurt Schrader, Democrat from Oregon, and Morgan Griffith, a Republican from Virginia, have actually come together to find a common ground and a path forward so that hemp and its derivatives can actually be utilized in the dietary supplement industry. Now, you may be saying, well, Joshua, CBD is available everywhere, which is absolutely true. We know that. There's no doubt about it. But why am I talking about this amendment specifically? Why am I talking about this bill that's going to allow CBD and other hemp compounds to be sold as dietary supplements? Well, first and foremost, I'm going to put my CEO hat on for just a moment. The reason I'm talking about this is because we at Veterans for Cannabis absolutely want regulations and guidelines in the industrial hemp industry, and specifically on the CBD side. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm taking my CEO hat off for a moment. So if I'm a consumer like you all, and I am a consumer as well, not only am I a CBD producer or an industrial hemp product producer, but I actually utilize cannabis-based products on the hemp side on the daily basis. And if we ever get medical cannabis available and done here in Georgia, I will have my medical cannabis that I will buy here in the state of Georgia, as we're stationed here now too. So I'm back to my consumer side hat that I'm wearing now. The reason that we want these regulations and guidelines is because you take our VFC oil that you can buy from VFCUSA.com right now, and you buy that and you sit it down beside a bottle of XYZ oil that you got off of Amazon, and you look at them, they'll look completely different. I promise you that. They will smell completely different as well. And I'll tell you right now, I'll be the first one to tell you that our VFC oil doesn't smell good, but damn, it sure works. And that's the quality that you all get. The quality being that there are no additives, there's nothing additional in our product, where the other one that you get off of Amazon may smell all pretty and be beautiful and clear and blah, 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 whatever it is. And guess how much CBD is in that? None. Guess what they charged you? Double what we would have too, right? So the reason I say we need to call the senators that you all have in your state, and each state has 2 senators, all right? So you can call them both, absolutely call them both, and ask them to support this bill that is going to get passed through the House and get over to the Senate to make sure that CBD and other hemp-based compounds can be sold as a dietary supplement, because we need the regulations. We need the guidelines, because there is zero reason that the VFC oil that we produce should be better or different, essentially, more beneficial than CBD oil that you buy off of Amazon. And you may sit here and think, well, Joshua, why do you want yours to be the same? I want it to be effective. That's what I want it to be. I want that if somebody buys Amazon-based CBD oil, and guys, it's not a knock on Amazon as you all listen to this podcast today here on the Veterans for Cannabis podcast. It's not a knock on Amazon. What I'm saying is we want to make sure that there is regulations and guidelines and everybody's on a level playing field. So if you buy something off of Amazon or whatever it is, wherever you get it, that it's essentially exactly what it's supposed to be. So if it says CBD oil in it, it should be CBD oil. If you're buying CBD oil from us and it's 700 plus milligrams, and you buy CBD oil from Amazon, whatever website, and it's 700 plus milligrams, but they should both be 700 plus milligrams. Right now, as it stands, that is absolutely not the case. You know what you get from our VFC oil. You do not get the same thing when you buy it from China or a different country where there isn't the regulations that we need. We need the regulations and guidelines in this specifically hemp industry, all right? Because there is zero reason that you should be able to buy something off of one website and it's not a uniform product and not up to the same standards as it is off of our site. And I'll tell you, people call us all the time. We get emails all the time through our inboxes that, oh, your oil's so good. It works so well, blah, 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 blah. Why I tried, Joe Blow's CBD oil and it didn't work. Well, first and foremost, the first thing I ask people is, did it have a QR code or did it have lab analysis? 95% of the time, they're going to say, what's lab analysis? I'm going to say, okay, well, there's your answer. The other 5% of the time, they had lab analysis, but they didn't look at it, which is terrible, or they didn't know where to get the lab analysis from. So that QR code that's supposed to be on the outside of each label should tell you unequivocally all the cannabinoids, all the compounds, the cannabinoid compounds inside that product should be listed there on that QR code. When you scan it, it's going to pull up lab results, right? So you scan it, it should say CBD 50 milligrams per gram, or CBN, CBG, THC. All the amounts in there should be reported in a normal lab analysis. And one of these days, we'll actually have a podcast to talk about lab analysis and what it means to you. But the reason I bring this up, and the reason that we really focus on the proposal that's sponsored by Reps Kurt Schrader and Morgan Griffith, is because we need that regulation and guidelines in the CBD hemp industry. Now, what does that mean? That means that first and foremost, it sucks for us at VFC because it's going to be a higher cost to market. Wait, no, it won't. You know why? Because we're already doing things up to that cost and up to that standard that should be out there. Now, what it means is that all of that cheap stuff that you're going to get from those willy-nilly websites is now going to cost more. Ours is going to stay the same because we're not going to do anything different because we've been doing everything the right way from the get-go. And what I mean by that is all of our products are tested. They've all been tested for heavy metals, for pesticides, for herbicides, for additional compounds that may be in there. You've got lead, heavy metals that can be available just in the soil that the hemp plants can actually soak up and pull out of the soil, and it goes into your buds. And those buds, when they're extracted, they have those compounds in them, the heavy metals that are present in almost every part of the world, right? We have natural elements that are exactly that, natural and in the earth. There's no doubt about it. But some areas are higher in numbers of lead, mercury, whatever it may be. And those places are not places that you want to source your industrial hemp flower from. Then that flower becomes a product after it's been extracted. So what we're really fighting for is regulations and guidelines that says, hey, you absolutely, if you're in this industry, you have to be producing at a certain level, a minimum level. And that's all we want. I know a lot of people, they cuss and jump up and down and hate regulations. You know why they do hate regulations? Because they don't want to play and color inside the lines. They want to skirt the edges. They want to be as cheap as possible, and they want to produce frankly, an inferior product. And that's exactly what happens when people try to cut corners and make things so it's not beneficial and it's cheaper for them so they can make more money. Then that's exactly what they do. They cut corners. They don't put a quality product out there. Look, I would be the first one to tell you all we're not making millions and millions of dollars, and I don't think we ever will, because it's not about that for us. It's about making the most quality product for us here at Veterans for Cannabis. That's really what this is about. And that's what we'll really continue to focus on. But if they can get this bill passed through the House and over to the Senate and passed so that CBD can become a regulated product and other hemp products would be regulated as well, that's going to be a huge boon for us, because it means that we'll be able to put it everywhere. I mean, your eye makeup that you put on or your wife puts on to reduce wrinkles and reduce swelling will be infused with CBD. That's good for everybody, because those of us who are vertically integrated like Veterans for Cannabis is, where we have